Right, so for this video, what I'm going to be doing is I'll be explaining a little bit of Substance Painter. So this is going to be an introductory video to how to work with Substance Painter. Substance Painter is a great software that is going to let me manage the workflow of my texturing in a really cool, awesome, super fast way. So what I'm going to do right now is I don't want to export this Pokeball. I would normally do export the Pokeball, but I'm going to be using the last video's example with the Pokeball monster just to show you some really cool things that you can do with Substance Painter. And then once I go into the more advanced workflows, what I'm going to be doing is creating the texture of the Pokeball with something else. So for now, let's just go here and take a look at what the normal map, ambient occlusion, and color I had for the last example. So that is going to be my ambient occlusion map. This is going to be the color map, and this is the color that I generated onto my normals. So what I'm going to do on this this time though is instead of using these files, I'm just going to be using the low and the high resolution meshes. So this one here and this one here. I might actually need to re-export that low OBJ because the normal maps are really bad. And as you can see, it's taking its sweet time to load because this is a really high poly count model. So I'm actually gonna go here and I'm gonna re-export that. Well, I can show you the other one. So I'm gonna go to my import and I'm going to be taking my Mudbox low poly. I'm gonna import that and I'm going to go to my mesh display and soften the normals. It's soften edge. There you go. So that way it does look a little bit better. So I'm gonna take this one once again. I'm gonna re-export that out. So export this selection, and I'm going to be taking this selection as an OBJ this time around. So export as OBJ. The low OBJ is gonna get overridden, and that's it. So I'm gonna go back here, and it finished loading it. So I'm gonna go back and take a look at all of the information. You can actually see the border of this Pokeball like that. If I was to enable the wireframe, which I'm not entirely sure how to do with this preview, oh, there you go. See, it's a really large poly count. So I'm gonna open up my low once again with the same settings. There you go, that's what it's supposed to look like. This is the many polygons that I'm using. So over here in this window, I have my Substance Painter. So in Substance Painter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, and I will say New. I'm going to be creating a new one. I'm going to be selecting that Pokeball. So this one is going to be on my desktop, Pokeball Scenes. Actually, no, it's under Mudbox and low. So this is where I'm going to be creating that. It is going to ask me if I have more files to add. In this case, I do have one, which is going to be my color code map. I will be using the same color code that I created on the base. So that is it. I can actually change that later, which is something I'm gonna do. But for now, I'm just going to do that. I'm gonna hit OK. And that is going to bring in the Pokeball. So Substance Painter is going to have two views. One is going to be the 3D view, which is this one that I have over here. And the other one is going to be the 2D view, which is basically where my map is going to be. If I want to see a particular channel, I can do that. One thing that is really neat here is I have my texture sets and I can actually add a new mesh. I'm gonna do that later or probably in the next video. I wanna show you the basic here. So this is the initial shading group. That is the name of the shader. I can rename that, but for now I'm just gonna leave it as it is. One thing that I can do in Substance Painter is basically just drag and drop a material. So if I want to say this Pokeball is going to be blue, just drag and drop it. The whole thing is going to be applied, that material. But Substance Painter is going to be working with physical base render materials. Let me get rid of all the layers that I have here. I'm going to draw a titanium ball. So one thing that you'll notice here immediately is that I have some reflections of stuff going on in my background. And actually, if I go down here and take this roughness to 0, I get to see the perfect reflection of everything in my environment. I can change that environmental settings. So let me just remember myself where it is located. So I can choose that from panorama to something else. let's choose this thing. You can actually take an environmental map from your actual game and see how the materials are going to be reflected on in a particular level or something like that. So this is pretty neat. I'm just going to hide this one now, and yeah, I don't want this platinum pure for now, so I'm just going to be creating that. It is really simple to create textures without the color maps, but it's really simple as well to create a different map. So for instance, what I'm going to do is, even though this is not entirely the same Pokeball model because it's kind of rough beaten on the top, I'm going to be creating a couple of them. So over here I want to have everything on, let's try to do scratch thin. So this is a good material to have. Let's see the color. Let's put this on red. Yeah, that's not entirely. Oh, that is going to be putting that scratch thin on top of it. So that is really my bad. I need to have a base material to apply onto this thing. So probably brass pure if I wanted it to be somewhat of a metallic. I'm gonna be changing this value to something like white, so everything on this part is going to be white. I will be applying a basic material underneath everything. So if I do let's say something that's going to be contrasting, plastic grid, well, that is going to be taking the normal map. See how it's actually applying normals of this thing. I can change that and can change the way that this is enabling. So I can go back here to my, or actually over here I can just say, you know, I don't want you to be using any height, so it's going to be completely flat, and that way if I don't see something, it is going to be giving me this color. So the only thing that I need to take from this right now is going to be the base, so I get to see that if I'm missing something in my selection. And I can apply masks. I can actually say, hey, this is only going to be applied to something. So I'll get rid of this plastic. I just wanted to show you how to make a base. So I'm going to be using this brass pure as a base, so everything else is going to have a different sort of material. So I'm going to be taking, let's say this is also code, it includes randomness. I'm going to put it all the way on the top, so that seems perfect. Not entirely what I meant to have. There's many different materials to apply. This one seems fine. This seems to be a good thing to have around the border. And just by drag and dropping, see how much of a texture I'm giving onto this shape, which is amazing. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to be saying I only want to apply it to this area. So I'm going to select this and I will say apply a black mask. A black mask basically says I don't want you to apply it to anything. I can actually start painting stuff on top of this area or this one here. So hey, this is where I want to have it. So I'm adding all of those details over there. I can fine-tune and paint this area if I wanted to. This is going to be connected to other things, so that's a way of painting. Or I can do something else in here and I can select that by particular face. So only these faces I want you to apply this material onto, see? Or these triangles even, or this whole object, or this whole UV shell, which is what I'm going to be doing for this part. So with that, I didn't even need to have a selection map. Could just drag and drop and say, hey, do this over here. Creating a color map inside of Substance Painter is also easy, but depending on the model, you may want to have that attached to a different thing inside of Maya. So that is it for that. I will be taking a different thing. Let's do a plastic on the top. So the Pokeball is just going to be painted on the top. That's my vision of a Pokeball. I'm going to be selecting that. I'm going to put that in. And so for me, everything is going to be made out of a single piece, but this plastic is going to be like a special coat that my Pokeball is going to have on the top. So with that, I'm also going to be applying another black mask. A mask on its own is exactly the same thing to have it black, white. The only thing that this means is this going to be applied or not? So what is going to be the flooded version of it? Remember, everything that is black is going to not have it applied. Everything that is white is going to be applied. So if I add a white mask, everything seems to be applied, and then I will need to change the color to black so I can start taking from it. So something like marker. I will need to change the color of my brush to remove it from this side, but that is not really what I want. So I'm just gonna go back to apply a black mask that is going to say nothing is going to be applied. Then this is the color of my brush. I can change the way that I added subtract, but in this case I'm just going to be taking it to this area, and even though I can start painting, see it's going to try to do a projection of the paint, and that's why it's going to the other areas, but I'm going to be doing it by the grid, so something like that, and that would be perfect. That is not getting messing with anything, and that is the basic Pokeball with a coat on the top. So take a look at that. Looks really nice. There seems to be like a plastic on top and then this metallic on the bottom. I can change the brush spear to be a little bit more reflective if I wanted to, so something more like this, and that is my Pokeball. I can actually call it a day, and then that's it. But there are so many things that I can do inside of Substance Painter, and that is going to be the topic for the next video. Right now this is looking pretty good, but that's not entirely the full power and potential of Substance Painter. This was a really quick demonstration of how to start working with it, but I haven't even used the color coding map, and I'm going to be talking about that and how to extract more information from these on the next video. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.